In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Montblanc 149 with Bespoke Calligraphy Left Oblique Nib. I will go over the specs, I will do a writing sample, and I'll tell you what I like and don't like about this pen coming up. Blake here with Blake's Broadcast. On this channel, I review fountain pens, paper, and ink, and as always, I put links to the show notes in the description below. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps out my channel. All right, let's get on with the review. Before we get into the review, I just want to talk briefly about the Bespoke Nib Program. This is a program that is completely unique to Montblanc. I am not aware of another company that does this, and I think this is one of those things that really elevates Montblanc to the top level, sort of in my mind, the best fountain pen manufacturer around today. I know some people don't like the brand, but it is what it is. That's just kind of my opinion. Now, you can put bespoke nibs on, like the Classique size, the Legrand size, and the 149 size. And you can do it on, I believe, most of their limited edition and special edition pens, as long as they are current production. And the cost to do that is $1,580. That's just for the nib. You can do custom engravings like with special designs. I've also seen nibs with like gemstones on them. That adds to the price. For me, I'm not really interested in that too much, but I think this is a very nice service. It is very expensive, but you're getting a one-off nib. And in putting together my own nib, I've just started the process. There are customizations that can be done to the options within the Bespoke program, and I haven't really seen this talked about too much, so I thought I would just go through the options, at least for nib point types, that's available in the Bespoke Nib program. Now, in the normal Montblanc nib options, you have extra fine to double broad to oblique, medium to oblique, double broad. Those are sort of the standard. I do believe you can still get an oblique triple broad on a 149, not available on a 146, but that's what I'm aware of. Now, in terms of the Bespoke Nib program, they offer a flex nib, although I was told that's currently not available. It will be an option in the future, and it was in the past. There's an extra fine nib. There's an oblique fine nib. There is a oblique medium right nib, so that's a right foot oblique nib, something that typically a left-handed person would use, not a right-handed person, which uses a left foot oblique nib. They also have a medium soft, a double broad soft. They have an italic broad, and then there is a ballpoint BB and M nib. Now, from looking at it, it looks very, very much like the S nib that I reviewed on that Montblanc Classique. I'll put a link to that review up in the corner, but it's just a big, massive ball of tipping material. They call it a ballpoint. Now, there is curved large and curved small. I believe what we get on the Montblanc 149 curved, the standard calligraphy one that they release that you can buy today, I believe that is the curved large, but they also make a smaller version. And there's also a signature nib, which comes in small and large. And these are the first of the 3-tine nibs. So every other nib that I've listed until now has 2 tines. So this signature nib is 3 tines, and it's kind of cut straight across, although the ends are curved a little bit. The signature large is by far the widest nib offered in this custom nib program. And then next there is the calligraphy left oblique, which is the one that I'll be reviewing here. That would be the next widest, along with the calligraphy straight. This is slightly smaller than the signature large, but larger than the signature small. Oh boy, this is getting messy, but it is what it is. And then there is the calligraphy right oblique. So if you are left-handed, I assume you could have the right oblique style. Now, finally, there is a twin line, which again is a very wide triple tine nib. And on one side of the nib, there is a little notch that's cut out so that it makes a fat line and a small line together. I believe Kaweco offers a nib kind of like this. However, it's not quite as nuts as it would be on like a 149 nib. So a lot of specialty nibs there. I'm working on doing a signature small nib that's cut a little bit sharper. We're working on asking specialized nib guy in Germany to see if that can be done, but working on a nib. Just wanted to give you guys that overview. Also, in terms of timing, I was told that for the standard Meisterstück line, it's 2 to 3 months typically. Then if you start doing their limited edition or special edition pens with, the less common nib designs, that can take longer. But for standard Meisterstück, they're doing this in 2 to 3 months, which is pretty good, I think, for a really custom nib from just a monster company like Montblanc. Okay, let's get to the review. Here I have the Montblanc 146 fountain pen, and I don't believe I've reviewed a 146 on this channel. I've had, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 of these, and I never ended up holding on to them. I always ended up preferring the 149, but this is a very good pen. It is very comparable to a Pelikan M800 or an Aurora Optima. The main downside I would say with this pen is that it doesn't have an interchangeable nib. So what I would recommend to most people is that you maybe go for the Aurora or the Pelikan. However, if you do want Montblanc's support, Montblanc looks, then this is a fantastic option. Now, in terms of the design of this pen, it's just, the standard cigar shape. We have a cone point here with the Montblanc star finial. This, I believe, unscrews, and that's sort of how the clip is seated onto the body. And on the clip here, we do have a serial number, and underneath the clip, it does say made in Germany and metal, because it's made out of metal, gold plated. Just really a standard Montblanc clip here. We have a raised portion up at the top, and it kind of expands out to this rounded point, and there's a step to it, just very subtle. It is stamped metal. It's not really a wow. The body is precious resin or plastic. There are no seams on this, so even though it is injection molded, Montblanc takes the care to remove those seams so that you really do have something that is very, very well finished. On the cap here, we have 3 rings with the center ring raised and nicely engraved. It says Meisterstück, which means masterpiece in German, and then it says Montblanc, and that is it there. In terms of uncapping this pen, one there, about 1.5 turns. And this is a piston filler, and you probably can't see it here because I do have ink in there. There are little lined windows there, very classic Montblanc. And then we have a nice size grip section. It's not super long, but it has a good width to it. And then there's like a textured plastic collar on the end of the grip section there. Now this nib is really the star of the show here. This is a real wow. This is the Calligraphy Oblique left nib. There are 3 tines. It's 18 karat gold. Standard Montblanc design with the star in the middle. 4810, which is the number of meters in height that Montblanc is in France. And scroll work around the edges. Now you will see on the side here, it says for October 2023. That was when the nib was ordered or produced. I'm not 100% sure. And then on the other side of the nib, it says Montblanc Santa Clara. So I don't know if that's just where this was ordered or if it was ordered for Montblanc Santa Clara, but I do believe that when you do the custom nib program, you could have your name on the side. It's unclear to me why we have the Montblanc Boutique engraved on the side of it. Now, what's very interesting about this pen, if we look at the bottom of it, so we have a plastic ABS feeder here. Now you'll notice that the feed, it really narrows towards the point, and there's so much more nib than there is feed at the end. But you'll see that there's these channels that kind of are cut out for ink. So they kind of go out like this, and you can see that there is ink in those little channels there. So they have added these extra channels to make sure that ink really reaches the tip of the nib. This nib really performs very, very well, and I think a lot of it is down to that excellent design with the channeling there. So really, really special that you can get a one-off nib from basically the biggest name in fountain pens, Montblanc. That's really, really cool. Now let's do some size and weight measurements here. So in terms of the length, we're looking at about 145 millimeters long and unposted about 126. Now I'm not going to post this pen because it's not my pen and the owner I know doesn't post his pens. So sorry, I can't give you that dimension there. In terms of the grip section, there is just a very slight taper, but I'll go at the widest point here, 12, and then right before that sort of textured collar, 10.7. And then for the weight, 27 grams, decent weight, not super heavy. There is a brass pieces in the back here, which does add some weight, so 17 grams. Now, I will say, having owned a good number of Montblanc 146s, these do post very well, and they are a great candidate for posting. So that is that. Let's do some comparisons with some other pens. Now, one thing I do think would be interesting is seeing it with a 149, which is my preferred Montblanc. They're actually the same length, roughly, which is really interesting. Now, here is a 146 from the 1940s or 50s. Not sure. It's a celluloid one, and I have it piston all the way forward, so it is a little bit, it's showing a little bit longer than normal, but you will see that it's significantly shorter than the current 146. And I always thought that this older celluloid style 146 just had better proportions than the new one, which just feels a little bit too elongated to my eye. So really, I think these two kind of look the best. Now let's do some other pens here. Here it is with an Aurora Optima, and you can see it is the Optima is a shorter pen, but if we look at the nibs, they are both, proper number 6 size, full-size nibs. And then here it is with a vanishing point. It's a full-size pen. For the writing sample, I'm going to be using a Papermind Tomoe River notebook. These notebooks are excellent for fountain pens, and for Blake's Broadcast viewers and subscribers, you can get 10% off with code BB10 at checkout. Okay. Is the Montblanc 146, and this is the Bespoke Calligraphy Oblique left nib, and this is Aurora black ink. Now, I'm not going to do fast writing because it's not my nib, and this is a very expensive pen, but when I do get my own bespoke nib, we'll do some fast writing. But we can do just... And of course, because it is so wide, you do need to get your angle right, which is just because there's just so much surface there, you need to really be careful about laying it down all the way. But this pen really does not skip. It's all about just getting that right angle. It does really, really nicely. It's super... I mean, it's just really a wow. This isn't a nib that I'm going to push on. It is 18 karat gold. There is some softness to it, but when I'm using it, I don't really feel that because I'm more just trying to let the nib do its own thing without trying to push on it. Just a really nice writing pen. I will do a little comparison here with a Oblique double broad here, just so you can see that. I mean, the difference is just pretty astounding. The Oblique double broad is more usable. It is a very soft nib, so you can, if you push on it, you can get something that it becomes pretty wide, but not as wide as that bespoke nib. And if we look at the finer width here, you'll see it's roughly the same thinness. So from thin to thick, the bespoke nib is really just a real wow. So what are my pros and cons for the Montblanc Legrand with Bespoke Calligraphy Oblique left nib? Well, the big thing here, of course, is that Bespoke Calligraphy Left Oblique Nib. It is a phenomenal performer. It's 10 out of 10 for me. The nib is super wide and the performance is just excellent. It is able to keep the ink flow coming such that it doesn't skip or hesitate. The performance is basically flawless, and this, super wide nib point is very demanding. So kudos to Montblanc for making such an exceptional nib and for offering, these weird nib options for crazy people like me. This is a pen that my friend lent me, and I'm now in the works and making my own. I'm going to do it on a 149. Just really floored with the performance of this pen. It's just a wow. The other pros, of course, it's a 146, so it's a very comfortable size. It's not a super heavy pen. It's going to be comfortable for most people. The build quality is excellent. If you buy this pen and you take care of it, it's something that will last you pretty much forever, and it's well supported by Montblanc, who is not going anywhere like some other pen companies have tended to do in the past. So just a really great pen. In terms of cons, well, we got to talk about the price. It's $810 for a brand new 146, which is a lot. They have been making these pens since the 1940s, so there are plenty of used ones. If you do not want a bespoke nib, then I recommend buying a used one. You can spend, I'd say $300 and get a really nice one of these instead of $810. Now, the bespoke nib adds $1,580 onto it, as long as you don't add any like gemstones or custom engravings. So extremely expensive. This is with tax, you're going to be well over $2,500. It's a lot. There's no getting around it. I will say also, in terms of the design of this pen, I do think the 149 has better proportions. I also think the vintage 146, which was a bit shorter, just looks a little bit better. This 146 size always never sat perfectly right for me, just visually, but that's a really minor gripe. Other thing is, it's a Montblanc, it's a Meisterstück. This is the most recognizable pen there is, so I can see people not liking that aspect. It may be more showy, it may look more like you're showing off because you have the most iconic luxury pen in the world. So those are potential downsides. Do you guys have this pen? Do you like this pen? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more fountain pen paper reading videos, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much, and until next time.